Alright, you master, this is Some-Belgian-prepper, and today we're going to talk about a leather belt. And we're going to talk about 30 survival uses for a leather belt, and also some misconceptions and survival myths. So, let's start with number one, and that is to keep your pants up. Alright, so a leather belt, I would say, is something handy to keep your pants up, obviously, but it is not something where many people think about when talking about survival. For example, these pants I wore a year ago and I could barely fit in it, and if you can see right now, that's a whole lot of more space that I had. And I would say a year, 2 years ago, I couldn't even bend without it being uncomfortable stretching. So why? Because this could be handy to know in a survival scenario, because if you're on a bug out scenario, you're in a bug in scenario when you have to ration food or whatever you are, and you have to hike for days, perhaps even weeks, you will lose a lot of weight. And when you lose a lot of weight, as you can see, I can fit a fist between these, then your pants can go off. So I would highly recommend suspenders or a belt to always preventing doing something like this adjusting part. Alright, the next thing is also not only for keeping your pants up, but also against, how do you call this, thunder ties, shaving, that is. Because if your pants are a little bit lower, like, how do they say this in America? Saggy pants or something. When this is very low, this can start to rub against your skin and you will get burns, and that's not fun. If it gets a little bit higher, then you have a little bit less wiggle room where it can start to shave. So that's also something you don't want. Alright, number two. You probably saw this in movies, but self-defense with a belt. I would say there are several techniques you can do. You can just take your belt off, like I did before, and use the metal buckle as a swinging weapon. And if you think this will not do much, there's a reason why children in the 50s feared the leather belt and the buckle, because this can do a lot of damage if you know what you're doing. I would say if you're going to use it like this, there are several ways. I would say try to keep it at arm's length. It's like what's called an nunchaku or whatever it's called. Why? Because if you're going to swing, you don't want it to go further. If you can see, you don't want it to go further than this, because if you want to have more reach and you swing, you will either have to have more momentum, open yourself up for an attack, it's easier to see them. And if you're going to use it like this, as you can see, this almost goes to the next side if I miss. So yeah, you will hurt yourself and you will lose time with the momentum. So keep it, if you're going to use it like this, keep it at arm length, and then you can directly attack it again. This thing, if you have a very heavy buckle, then you can even weaponize it even more. But don't do what they show you in the movies, and that is something that I don't like. You can see this in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, that one takes a buckle and uses it like a knuckle. Yeah, the chances that you are going to do damage with this, the thinking about this is you will protect your hands while doing damage to the other person. Okay, fine. But this thing will swing around. You will not have time to put the buckle in to do the belt in the buckle. And another thing, you will create room. That's also not good for punching. And another thing, because you will probably roll it up like this, as you can see, if you hit something, it will either slide to one way or slide over the other turned buckles. So for self-defense, the best way to use it is arm length buckle, and do it in a fast way to do damage, to keep the person away. And yeah, Alright, number 3, a sling for a rifle. Well, this will not fit on a rifle, but in case you have a rifle, you know what? I think I will get my rifle here. Alright, lucky me, I got here the Lee Enfield, and what you can do is put it through, but as you can see, it will not fit through every sling. So that's already a problem. What you perhaps can do is by putting it around first, and that is not handy for combat, by the way. It is just very improvised, and you will also not get your iron sights in the most ideal situation. Do it like that on the front. Perhaps get your... I forgot to make a hole in top of this, but you can try to make a knot with this at the back side. I'm going to do it as fast as I can, because this looks very professional. So now you got a sling for a rifle on an improvised way, by putting the buckle in front and just knot it at the back. It will not be very tactical, because if you're going to aim with it, now the belt will be in the way. So that's not very ideal. But it is better than carry it always in your hands, and now you can also put it on top of your backpack. Yeah, that's it. Alright, so another thing why a belt is handy is if you carry a gun with a holster, or you can fabrize a holster that is tucked inside your pants with some iron wire, or how do you call this? It's like a metal wire that you can make into an improvised clip, put it in the barrel of your pistol and tuck it inside, so it cannot drop inside of your pants and it cannot fall out. So that's another use you can do. Or if you have a real holster, the more the better. And also we're carrying a knife or other multi-tool. So for self-defense we got those. I made a list so I don't forget anything. Repair your bug-out bag. So if you have a bug-out bag, which is yet again very professional, I will get it in a minute. Yeah, it is very professional of me. Alright, so where is the little buckle? So if you got your shoulder straps, and one of them breaks off at some point, or gets cuts, or wear and tear by some reason, you can in a pinch put these where they're going through with the buckle here, and then you got 2 shoulder straps, that one improvised. Also a solution, but it will not be as comfortable as the usual shoulder sling, so you got to be very careful with that, because otherwise it will start to cut. And that's another reason why I would say get a leather belt that is wider. Wider, I mean that it fits most holes in the pants, but that it's not one of those very thin belts, because whether it's on your pants, whether it's on as an improvised shoulder sling, yeah, you don't want that cutting into your skin. So make it as wide as possible, but not too wide that you cannot put it in through any other holes of materials that are standards on backpacks or clothing. Alright, so we are now at number 5, and I would say building a shelter. So building a shelter with this, there are not many options with this, except if you either cut the leather into thin strips, you can build a shelter. But the most improvised shelter I would say is you just take logs or branches, and like a teepee or wigwam, I always confuse the two, you can put them all together in a circle, and at the top you put the belt around it, you tighten it up, and that way all the branches are held together on top, and then you can build on the slope of the tipi all your material to make it waterproof or wind resistant. So that's another way you can do this in an improvised way. And the second way is, in my opinion, more ideal, because then you do not damage the belt and you can reuse it for another purpose. We are now at number 6, and I would say a fishing hook. As you can see, that is usually of a thinner material. If fishing is one of your only options for food, what you perhaps can do is try to, because these are always together, try to make a sort of hook by bending it, sharpen it with sand or stone that it points upwards, put some bait on top of it, and use it as an improvised fishing line. Is it the best fishing line? Hell no. But in a pinch, would it work? Perhaps. But yeah, that's something that is a very desperate way of doing things, and there are perhaps other things, but we are talking about 30 survival uses, and by God, we are going to talk about 30 uses. We are now at sharpening a knife. If you have a knife, my trusty knife here, what you can do is, this is not really sharpening, but if you have like something like sand or certain type of stones and you have sharpened your knife, what you can do is put this around your leg, and that way now you can use it as like one of those straps for stropping a razor wire, that you can finish it, and that way you will keep it a little bit more straight, and it's more safer to use than on something else. You can not only do this on your leg, you can do this on a branch or something, but be careful that you do not damage the material too much. So making a finer sharpening of your knife is one of those things you can do, but there are better ways with better sharpening tools, I would say. Alright, so now we're at number 8, and this is taking a bundle. So whether it's a bundle of wood, of other materials that you can just put between it, make it tight, perhaps make some extra holes, and that way you can carry a bushel of something that you have and just walk with it, and that could be handier than taking it all under your armpit, and that's not fun. Alright, you can also make a bug out roll with it. I know I already made a video about it, but if you're in a pinch, for example, you only have a type of blanket. I will put this away for safety. You can open the bug out roll. I don't know if you can see it. And if you got gear, we're not going to take a lot of gear. For example, you got some loose survival gear, put it between them, and then roll it up in as you would do with a bug out roll. Take your belt, take one up, and now you got a roll that you can carry or hang on something, and if you got something longer, hang it on top of your, how do you say this, your shoulder, or you can just take it to one side and knot the other side off with something, and then you can carry it on your back on something like this, which can be more handier or feel more comfortable than just carry it all as a bag in your hands. So that then you get that extra support. Alright. I think we're now at number 9. Yes, we're at number 9. So, a splint. If you have a fracture or a broken arm, There are several ways to do this. You can either put it around your arm and use it as an improvised sling to keep your arm in place, that it will not move too much and make the fracture or the broken arm worse. You can also splint it by, for example, taking some branches. You can take multiple branches, use them on the arm, and use that. Oh, it's very difficult to do this on your own, so be aware of it. And that way you can make an improvised splint on yourself or somebody else with some branches. Yeah, you have to do a better job than I did now, but I'm in a hurry because I don't have that much memory on my smartphone. Alright, so now we're at, how do you say this? Grabbing a hot metal pan or pot. Whether it's something metal, you can just, perhaps whatever. What you can do is, you can just fold it up in multiple layers and use this as a way to grab whatever you want that is hot. For example, you can grab a hot pan or a hot pot or whatever it is that way, and you will not burn your fingers. Burning your fingers is really bad during a survival scenario. And you can also do this with a pot that you can just squeeze between it and use it this way to take it away from you. Keep it always away from the body in case there is some splashing, because this will not be the most sturdiest way to do it, but it's better than having burning wounds on your hand. Alright, now we're at number 11, and that is carry multiple drinking containers. If you got one of those multiple filled bottles with the hooks or something else on top of it, or something that can be carried like a loop cord, you can put them all together on your belt, lock them in so they don't go anywhere, and carry them on your back or across your shoulders and carry it like this. Why would this be handy? This would be handy in case if you are sitting at a camp and one person goes on water duty and getting water from the nearest source, so they have to take everyone's water container with him while the other is doing other tasks like whatever, making fire, looking for food, and that way you can carry more water with you that way. Or during a hot day, if you need some extra water, that you always have it with you, that you don't always have to take it out of your bag that way, and it's always within arm's reach. Right, now we're at number 12, and that is the roll-up sling. I already did that, so that doesn't count. Alright, now we're at number 13, carrying a bucket. I don't have a good preparation, but if you carry a bucket, it can be really annoying by carrying it and it's cutting into your fingers. So instead of a bucket, I will use this lovely kettlebell, and that could be more comfortable to carry than just do it with your hands. So imagine this was a bucket, and that way you can get water, food, or whatever that you have. Right, now we're at number 14, and that is something that I already made a video about, and that is actually more of a myth. So this counts, but it's more like a survival myth that needs to be debunked. Using it as a tourniquet with a leather bucket like this, leather belt like this, that will not do for several reasons. The first one is, by the time you take your belt off and get it on, you're already bleeding out, so start with putting pressure on. Second thing is, usually the belt, when you put it around your arm, the holes will not be closed. So now you're with a loose bucket, whether it's on your arm or your leg, and you don't have time to make an extra hole. The third thing is, it is not tight enough. even when I'm pulling at all my might, what it does is I cannot get enough even when I'm doing it down. And if you can see, some of my flesh is being crushed between the buckle, so that's already another thing that will not work. You will not get enough gripping power to not cut off, but to choke off an artery, and during an artery bleeding, that's not fun. Some people would say you can just tighten this with a knot, put something between it and turn it around, but this is a leather belt. It's very thick, so no way that you will be able to turn this with something sturdy as a metal pen or piece of hardwood or a branch or something. This will not turn and you will bleed out. And even if you manage to push it off with just your own willpower, you will not be able to last this long, because you will need something to call for help or to address this on a more appropriate way. So it's handier to keep pressure or find an alternative way, but not with a bucket. Another thing is the sling of a broken arm. Already talked about that. Climbing tool. So if we are going to be able to film this without it falling, let's imagine that. Let's put this away. Very perfect. Let's imagine that this is a wall that you have to climb on top of it. You can either, if you got something to hang on to, you can try to get your belt on top of it, and that way you have, I would say, about half a meter of extra leeway that you can pull yourself up and grab the top side, or you can just, or if you have something more like a fence or something, throw this over, get this, and that way you can use your, I don't know if you can see this, use your feet to pull yourself over a wall or a fence. The thing is, this can also be used to help someone get over a fence. So if you are on a higher place and you want to help somebody get up, you can use your belt as a way to pull them up or give them more leverage. And leather is very grippy material to hang on to, and it's also sturdy enough to carry a person usually. If you got good quality leather belts, that's usually not a problem. You see what I mean by the pants? Alright, that was 0.17. Yeah, that was 0.17. And you can also do it from a pit. Another thing you can do with this is lowering an item. If you got sensitive items or something that cannot spill, like water, and you get it from down or up, wherever it is, you can either lower it down, like with the bucket, lower it down, and that is a way that you will be able to pass it through to someone, or make it as low as possible that there is less chance to break. And the same thing goes for yourself. If you hang to something and you can, even a half a meter can be a difference between life or death if you have to fall from a greater height. So yeah, those things could happen, and a belt could be handy in that scenario. Alright, now we're at oh yeah, climb to pole. If you're in a train or a bus that is gone wild, yeah, that didn't sound too well, there is something you can do. And I would say open up your belt. If a train is getting out of control and there is a fear that there will be a crash, or they will go out of their, how do you say this, from the tracks and falling off, you can try to put this around a pole, and that way if the trains or the bus goes to a full stop directly, and you will be sling over it, and sometimes you need some extra grip because there will be a lot of power. If you see one of those crash dummies, you will see what kind of power this generates. So you will not, sometimes your hands will be too of course, during a stress situation, you will start to sweat, or or it has been a rainy day, your hands are wet by that mist or something, and you have to grip a pole. Even those forces can pull you away from it, even with the strongest grip, or even if you grab with both of your arms. So that way you can lock yourself on, and you have extra point where you can hold on to the pole, and you will not flying around like a ragdoll in a train or a bus that has gone wild. All right. So now we're at oh yeah, towing a wounded person. If you want to carry a person, I think I made a video about this, or it's in my survival manual that I once wrote. What you can do is, especially during enemy fire, I don't know if I can show you it like this. If there is enemy fire and there's somebody wounded, and you need to get that person out, but there is only low cover, what you can do is take your belt, put it around you, and hopefully a part of the person, and that way you can keep the wounded person beneath you and pull yourself in front while they're hanging with their belt beneath you, and that way you can have some extra pulling power to get them out. What you also can do is, if you can get more up, get your belt and try to pull the person by putting it, it's a little bit hard to show, put it beneath their armpits, and try to use that as a way to pull that person out of danger, because sometimes because of perhaps blood, mud, or whatever it is, that the grabbing by the arms could be not ideal, because it's too slippery and they will fall every time, and that way you can use it more, you have more leverage by more standing up and pulling it. So it might sound stupid, but these are realities that once saved some person's life. Alright, we're now at we're now at 21, and I think I have to stop the video right now because I'm almost at time. So by the magic of editing, I will tell you how you can overcome pain with a leather belt. Alright, we're back. So I was talking about how to overcome pain, and if you have in the field, you're getting your wounds checked or bandage changed or whatever minor basic surgery, field surgeon or something very painful that needs to be done. Yeah, that is an old thing, by biting on the leather, because this will do several things. One, it will have something to distract you from the pain. Second, you will clench your jaws, and it's better to have something soft between them, so you will not bite your teeth broken. So that's also something that you don't want. And yeah, it's also a mental preparation if you can focus another type of pain to somewhere else than wherever it is that they are operating or dressing your wounds, or you have some sort of pain or whatever, dislocated shoulder, whatever it is. Another thing is, it is yet again a survival myth, and that does not work, and that is that you can chew leather for calories in a famine. The thing is, you always hear these stories about like in the Soviet Union, in Leningrad, there are reports of people who are cooking leather shoes and leather belts because people were starving in famine during the siege. And you also hear the stories from the, how do you say this, the frontiers in the Americas, that they sometimes during a famine or when food was short, they would cook or chew leather belts and other leather products. But the thing is, this will not work with modern leather belts. Why? Because if you look at the past, these things were usually simply made, very simple made, and these were also more fresh, if you would like. These are usually made with tannin and with chemical products, so they will last longer, and that is a big difference. And also the way that they are made is also problematic, because 95% of anything nutritional inside of this will be cooked away during the process. It's not like a freshly cut and just dried leather belt from in the past. Another thing is, a lot of belts are not really made from leather, so if you try to cook it, you will eat a synthetic material. So that could also be a very dangerous if you are not sure that it is a real leather or not. Try to test it out, I would say. And yeah, eating this will also, yeah, it will not help much. If you boil it, there will not be any nutritional values, and the most thing it will do is giving something. It's like gum. If you chew gum, that it will take your mind away from the hunger, that kind of stuff. But more if you do it on a small piece, but more it will not do. In fact, there could be, if you chew on it and some fibers of something get inside of you, it can create blockages, or you get poisoning from the tannin or the chemical chemical products inside of these, which they are made from. Made with is what I'm trying to say. So don't fall for that one. All right, next one is cordage. Yeah, if you rip it into smaller parts or cut it, you will have more cordage for all sort of tasks during survival scenario. But be aware that if the situation is that bad, you will lose weight and you will have this problem. All right, so an improvised chair. You can just make an improvised chair by finding two branches, roll it over, make it something that is of course sturdy, and then you can sit on this from the wet ground or the mud, so you don't get dirty infections, or you can rest away from insects that might crawl more on top of you. So that's a small handy trick you can do if you are resting tired and the ground is not ideal to sit or lie on. Another thing you can do is, if you have, for the same reason, a bug-out bag or any other bag, you don't always want it standing on the ground, because there might be food in it that will draw in small critters, rats, squirrels, whatever it is, anything that, or insects, anything that lives on the ground will be drawn to this thing full of yummies. So what you're gonna do is take your belt and hang it on a higher branch, and that way smaller creatures will not get to it. For bears, yeah, you will have to hang it much higher, but yeah, against the bear would be less of a problem in much areas than smaller critters or insects. So that's another thing you can do. I think now we're at we're 24, I think. So let's continue. Another thing you can do is, if you want to signal a rescue crew and you want to make a brighter signal, what you can do is take a lamp or anything. You can put even fire on top of it. Yeah, in the daylight you will not see it, but what you can do is, if you do this really fast, you will get a big glowing circle around you, and that way it can draw attention from rescue workers or someone of your party that you want to signal from far away. I think I made a video about this with chem lights, and they work really great. And you can also do it with lamps or torches that you hang, and just you create a more, because you do it fast, it will be one big circle instead of just waving it around slower than a human arm can do. So use this instead. Alright, now we're at 26, and that is, if you got a leather belt, try to hide stuff inside of it. You can do this when you're traveling, during a bug-out scenario, or EDC. You can tape some money on the inside of the belt, a razor wire, in case there is a fear of being kidnapped, that you have something beneath you, that you can fiddle a hidden razor blade from top of it and cut your taped arms or hands and escape that way, or attack your kidnapper or something like that. So it's like you can hide weapons inside of the leather belt, and I would advise to do it with tape that is how do you say this, that you can see through it. Otherwise kidnappers or somebody else will see directly. And of course you can, if you are a little bit more or into sewing, you can get an extra patch of leather inside of it and hide money or razor blades inside of those. Could be very handy. Alright, now we're at 27, and that is bashing a car window or any window for an escape route. Like I said before, you can just take your belt and scrape it with the metal. Usually if you do it in the length of your arm, of your hand, you will usually get this hook, the hook of this belt buckle, as a striking point, and that will break most windows. And you do it from a safe distance, because if you would do it like some people would do, they would say get it on top of your hands, and that way you can bash it. But then we have the same problem like I talked with the self-defense. It will either slide off, it will get too much leeway, and the problem is also if you want to punch it a window like that. I once had made this mistake, that's to pushing through a window. If the glass falls from top of it, it will fall on your hands and your hands will be wounded. So keep some distance and smack it from a distance, and if there is a glass falling, it will not hit your hands. Alright, we are now at, I think, 28. No. Yeah, remove razor wire. So, like in the US Army, if you got an obstacle, barricade, or something like razor wire, you can try to, because leather belt is more of a softer material, or you will have chance with hooking it with this. You can throw it on top of the razor wire and then pull it away from wherever it's standing, and that way you can get a better way over it and escape some North Korean border or something. And yeah, you will probably get some cuts on your belt, so, but that is a price for freedom. Alright, now we're at a more dark one, 29, and that is, I know it might sound a little bit harsh or horrible, but suicide. If you are captured by sort of organizations, terrorists, whatever, and you know that they will torture you or something like that, yeah, many people think I will live through, I can outmaneuver their torture or whatever. Not every person has a breaking point, no matter the training you got in torture resistance training. Sometimes there is only one escape, and that is suicide, and that is just the same way that you can do it like this. Not it somewhere else, and you don't even need something high. A lot of prisoners commit suicide by hanging it on the side of their bed or a bar on the window, and they only need something lower. They only need that much distance to hang to, and do it, and have enough willpower to do it, to escape a more horrible fate. So yeah, it's not really a survival tip, but sometimes you got to do it. You got to take the hard route out, or the easy way in this case, because yeah, like I said, everyone has a breaking point. If you are messing with people that are into torturing, that kind of stuff, like the cartels, is horrible. But yeah, and the last thing I would say, number 30. And before I say number 30, I'm going to be a little bit of a cheeky bastard and promote my books. If you're interested in detective stories, there will be a link to my book called Bloody Crosses and the Jason Murders. It's in Dutch. If you're interested, take a look. So, number 30. Number 30, and this is something that you can do with your special little lady if she's in the mood or has certain preferences, and that is just BDSM. Yeah. With a belt you can smack really hard, and you will take your pants off eventually in that process. So just for shits and giggles, I put that one in. And then we got 30. So alright, so if you know any other survival use for a leather belt, let me know in the comments. I'm always eager to learn new things, or in case something I've forgotten. And I would say like, subscribe, all the good stuff, and see you in the next video. Cheers!